Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joe Lucenti. I'm an associate professor for Ohio State University Extension in the Ohio Sea Grant College program. Today, I'm here to talk to you about how to run a public meeting on behalf of the Ohio Township Association. So in today's learning objectives, we're going to look at public meetings, what they are, and how do you prepare for them, the meeting guidelines, the types of meetings and audiences for them, meeting preparation, and meeting expectations. The types of public meetings and legal requirements. There are many different types of public meetings. We have our regular meetings, which is your typical township board trustee meetings. Special meetings are often called at different times other than your regular meetings, centered around a particular topic that has to be advertised and communicated beforehand. We have emergency meetings that often occur when an emergency situation pops up and emergency legislation needs to be enacted upon. We have work sessions that are scheduled during, usually, a public meeting, talking about any one of a number of issues in regards to economic development, parks and rec, roads and sewers, what have you. We have public hearings, which are designed to elicit input from the public. Committee hearings, which any one of a number of topics, again, including economic development, road and infrastructure, etc. Joint meetings, which aren't held too often, which is usually between two or more local jurisdictions, often involving economic development projects. And then finally, executive sessions. So the meeting notification that's required according to the Ohio Revised Code under Ohio's Open Meetings Act requires the board to conduct business in an open meeting that the public may attend and observe. The same holds true for similar discussions and decision-making by a city council, a township board of trustees, or any other public body. The Ohio Open Meetings Act requires that public bodies provide notice of their meetings to the public. The notice must include the time, date, location, and purpose of the meeting. Talking about public policy and meeting procedure, it's important to understand and examine what your policies are. So following the same policies as previous boards may lead to problems down the line. So it's important to review and edit your own rules if necessary. A good rule to remember is that good procedures and established processes that are both understood and supported by the board are the best assurances for meeting the expectations of others. Every public body should have a written code of ethics, written standards of conduct, written rules of procedure. For those out there, and I've been contacted by many townships before that do not have these, I would refer you to the Ohio Ethics Commission, as they have different types of examples that you may be able to adopt and discuss with your board. In talking about meeting and facilitative procedures, it's important to understand that you make sure that the procedures used to conduct the meeting are appropriate. So a strict application of Robert's Rules of Order or other parliamentary procedures can stifle the decision-making process. Parliamentary procedure provides the process for proposing, amending, approving, or even defeating legislative motions. Although following those parliamentary procedures is not required, it can make public meetings more efficient and reduces the chances of official actions being declared illegal or challenged for procedural deficiencies. So a township may adopt, by ordinance or resolution, its own set of rules governing the conduct of meetings, or it may adopt by reference formalized rules such as Robert's Rules of Order. Townships have adopted Robert's Rules, supplementing those rules with additional rules on issues such as voting abstentions and motions for reconsideration. So taking a look at motions versus resolutions, what are they? A motion is a formal proposal that's made in a meeting or assembly to discuss, debate, or decide on a specific issue or topic. A resolution is a formal statement that outlines the decisions or opinions that are reached by a group or organization after a motion has been discussed or voted upon. So the motions serve as the basis for debate and decision-making, while resolutions represent the outcome or agreed-upon stance. Keeping public minutes. According to Ohio Revised Code, a public body must keep full and accurate minutes of its meetings. But keep in mind that you do not have to have an exact transcript of every word that's been said during that meeting. Minutes must be promptly prepared, filed, and made available for public inspection. Generally speaking, the minutes should provide sufficient information to permit the public to understand and appreciate the rationale that is behind the public body's decisions. For closed sessions, The minutes need to only give a general sense of the subject matter that was discussed. Public bodies must make all minutes available to the public for inspection and copying at a reasonable fee if requested. So regardless of the types of meetings that we covered, there are 6 guidelines for conducting meetings. The first is effective meetings begin with good planning. I like to use this quote by the International County Management Association that says, "Well begun is half done." And this is used to describe the importance of carefully planning a meeting. Paying attention to details while preparing for a meeting and paying attention to the process and flow of meetings are important if we want our meetings to be effective. Again, why are you meeting and what is the purpose? Don't meet just to meet, because nobody likes spending an inordinate amount of time in a meeting getting nothing done. The second part to consider is the agenda. A good meeting begins with a well thought out agenda. Again, advanced distribution of the agenda and supporting material, you see this 5-day rule. There is no such thing as a 5-day rule. Rather, this is a general rule of thumb in that it gives your colleagues, the media, and others enough time to research and prepare about the issues that you're going to discuss. And then again, do your homework and research these issues by utilizing that time effectively. It is obvious to others if you are not prepared. The third is establishing time limits. It's important to establish these time limits for the full meeting and each item on the agenda, and it's even more important to stick to the time limits. The next is having effective chairs. The key to maintaining a smooth and timely flow of agenda items is having an effective chair. And it's up to the chair to maintain the balance of time and expectations that all members have and the need for individual members to have an opportunity to be heard. The next is facilitative procedures, which we covered previously. And again, make sure that all the procedures used to conduct the meeting are appropriate. And remember that a strict application of Robert's Rules of Orders or other parliamentary procedures can stifle the decision-making process. So again, revisit those rules and make the necessary adaptations as you see fit. The next is good atmosphere and facilities. Make everyone feel welcome. Encourage participation, but within the framework of the agenda. And we'll discuss that in just a minute. The meeting place should be easily accessible and ADA compliant. As a public official, there are 2 dimensions of decision-making, and that's making the right decision by doing your homework and researching the issue, and then making the decision in the right way through formalized procedure. Have you ever attended a public meeting and walked away thinking, man, that was a great meeting? Or maybe even, what a waste of time. Or perhaps you've wondered what just happened, or even how did we get ourselves into this mess? So you should take the time to evaluate your meetings on an annual basis. You should evaluate as a board your township meetings. Again, you should have some individual time on individual board and self-evaluation, how you conduct a township business, how you interact with your boards. In preparing for a meeting, it's important to reflect upon the purposes of the meeting and the audiences for that meeting. In the public sector, we should consider governing bodies have at least 4 primary audiences. They are the public, the media, the employees, and then other members of the governing body, your colleagues. The public expects that the meeting environment is to be friendly and inviting. They want to feel welcome. We have to understand that the public does not often attend these public meetings. They want to feel as though they are treated with respect and courtesy. They expect that their presence is recognized and appreciated. And they also expect a meeting that runs smoothly with clearly understood and explained rules. And even more importantly, rules that are fair and evenly applied. The public also expects a process that has a reasonable amount of dignity, decorum, professionalism from the governing body. They expect that members will have done their homework, know the issues, and can discuss them in a rational rather than an emotional way. So let's talk about why the public even attends public meetings in the first place. Well, first, they want to learn about what's happening. You might have some folks that are interested in participating or joining boards. You always have folks who are interested in speaking on a recent legislative decision, whether it be good or bad. You have folks that heard the administration cannot resolve an issue and they want to know what you are going to do about it. And the always infamous, I heard a rumor. So before we talked a little bit about citizen participation and during these rules of procedure, so we have to understand that the public has every right to attend a public meeting. However, The public has absolutely no right to participate in that public meeting. This is a privilege that's granted by the legislative body. Now, in doing so, it's generally not a smart idea to totally kneecap the public by not letting them participate. So they have different kinds of things that they do, anything from timers to giving them a certain amount of time. Some people let them speak as long as they want to speak. It is completely up to the legislative body as to how they wish to transact public participation within the framework of the public meeting. Another important thing to consider is responding to the public and how you do so. It's important to meet with your board members to establish a response to public comment rules. So think carefully and always couch your phrases like this and answers like this. I can only speak for myself. I'm not speaking for the entire body. Remember, the public has no right to disrupt a meeting. Rather, it's a privilege granted by the legislative body. And when doing so and giving people the opportunity to talk and address the board, please be aware of your nonverbal communication. Oftentimes, we're not looking the person directly in the eye. We're shuffling papers. You may be checking messages on your phone. So again, please be aware of those nonverbal communication errors. Let's talk about representatives of the media and what they expect. Media expectations include information in advance, including agendas and supporting material. That's kind of what I referred to earlier about the 5-day rule. It helps by having them have information in advance and having any questions prepared about whatever it is that the board happens to be discussing that particular evening during that meeting. They expect a table or a workspace so that they can prepare their stories as the meeting progresses. They also expect wireless availability, and more than anything, they want a process that's open, fair, and accessible. Remember, negative comments during meetings about media coverage will create a strained working relationship, which is something that you do not want to do with your media folks. The unguarded comment, your wisecrack, or cutting remark in the heat of the battle are likely to be tomorrow's headlines. Any comment, once it's made, cannot be retracted with complete success. It's important to always project clear, direct, thoughtful, and accurate statements during your meeting to project that positive image. Remember that most residents will develop their image and evaluation of the governing body from the media. And why that is? It's because that's all they hear about you primarily through, because they don't usually attend public meetings. Your third audience is government employees. They too expect courtesy, recognition, fairness, and perhaps praise. So any comments that criticize work ethic, the quality of work, or general attitude are not appropriate in the public forum. Rather, this is something that you should work to address in-house. So try your best to offer positive comments that will keep workforce morale and productivity at a higher level. Your fourth audience are your colleagues, your other governing members. They too have expectations that focus upon the words and conduct of their colleagues. They expect reasoned and rational statements and statements that reflect a good command of the issue. They expect that the comments of each member to be well informed. They too expect to be treated with courtesy and respect, and they also expect not to be harassed, to have their integrity or motives questioned. They expect an equal opportunity to talk, and they expect that one or more of the other members will not try to dominate or control the dialogue. Again, let's remember that we're all different people. Some people are more extroverted, some people are more introverted. So it's important to give them the proper respect and the time to communicate whatever it is that they need to the board. So please remember that ineffective meetings are the ones that fail to satisfy the fundamental criteria in one of the 5 categories: your preparation for the meeting environment, the procedures that you use, the outcome or results of the meeting, and overall leadership of the meeting. As a public official, you have been given a responsibility. Now you have to earn the confidence of the public. So the public's perception of your decisions is what matters, so make sure that it's accurate. Thank you and good luck, and enjoy the rest of your training for OTA.